A story of Pinocchio, a boy who made of wood. Long ago in Italy, there was a clockmaker named Geppetto. Tick-tock, tick. Geppetto was content when he was working. But as he lay down, a sad feeling overcame him. Ah! He'd ponder. All my life and not a single child to call my own. So, one day, Geppetto carved a wooden puppet in the shape of a boy. He gave the puppet arms and legs that could move. As if it were a real boy, he cut and sewed a nice outfit for it. "I'll call you Pinocchio," Geppetto said. Geppetto placed the wooden puppet on the bed that night. A large star twinkled brightly outside the window. Geppetto observed the twinkling star through the window. "Bright star," Geppetto said. "If I could make one wish, it would be for a real boy of my own," he said, knowing full well that he couldn't. The same big star swooshed right into Geppetto's room that night. It transformed into a blue fairy. The blue fairy landed on the bed. "Little wooden puppet," the blue fairy said. "You'll be able to walk and talk like a real boy in the morning," she said, tapping the puppet with her wand once. "And if you can prove someday that you are brave and true, you might become a real boy." Pinocchio's eyes popped open. "One more thing," the blue fairy added. Suddenly, a cricket emerged. He was well dressed and spoke fluently. "Meet the cricket," the blue fairy said, "he'll stay with you to help you make wise decisions." And with that, the blue fairy swooshed out of the window and up into the night sky. The next morning, when Geppetto awoke, he said, "I will go take my puppet out of bed," but the bed was empty. "Here I am, father," Pinocchio announced from the other side of the room. "What? You can talk?" Geppetto swung around. "I'm Pinocchio, your boy." "How can this be?" Geppetto exclaimed, then added, "But who cares?" He rushed over and snatched the wooden puppet into his arms, exclaiming, "Pinocchio, my son! I'm off to school." "I want to go to school, like other boys," Pinocchio declared one day. "Of course," Geppetto replied, but he lacked the funds to purchase schoolbooks. Later that day, Geppetto returned home with schoolbooks, declaring, "Now you can go to school." "But where is your warm coat, father?" "No need to worry about that," Geppetto said with a wave of his hand, "what matters is that you will go to school tomorrow." He didn't want Pinocchio to know he had traded his warm coat for the schoolbooks. The next morning, Pinocchio bid Geppetto farewell. He skipped along the path to school, humming along the way, and the cricket rode on his back, happy as well. A fox and a cat approached them on the path. "And where are you going on this fine day?" the fox inquired. "I'm off to school," exclaimed Pinocchio. "On such a beautiful day as this!" exclaimed the fox, "it's too nice to be stuck inside school. Come with us to the fair." "Listen to me," the fox said, putting his arm around Pinocchio's shoulder, "you can learn everything you need to know at the fair." "Really?" Pinocchio asked. "Take it from me," the fox said. The cricket exclaimed, "Pinocchio! He has no idea what he's talking about." The fox hid the cricket with his hat, so no one could hear the little fellow as he yelled, "Pinocchio, do not listen to him." "All right," exclaimed Pinocchio, "let's go to the fair." And they were off. The exposition. What a fair! A man dressed in white stood by the gate, calling out, "Come in, come in! Right this way! Get your tickets here!" "I do not have any tickets," Pinocchio lamented to the fox and cat. "Hey, you! Sell me those new schoolbooks of yours. That's how you can get money for tickets," said a man selling old items near the gate. The fair was so bright, colorful, and exciting that Pinocchio quickly sold his schoolbooks for tickets. "No, Pinocchio, stop!" exclaimed a cricket, who had finally emerged from under the fox's hat, but Pinocchio, the fox, and the cat were already inside the fair. The man in charge of the fair. On stage, there was a puppet show. "I, too, am a puppet," exclaimed Pinocchio. "I can dance like that." He leapt onto the stage and began dancing with the other puppets. "Look at that new puppet," exclaimed someone, It has no strings. No strings attached? Exclaimed another. Amazing? They threw coins on the stage and laughed and laughed. When the man in charge of the fair saw coins fly onto the stage, he rubbed his chin and exclaimed, "Well, now! This puppet with no strings will make me rich." The next thing Pinocchio knew, he was being picked up and thrown into a birdcage, and the door was locked behind him. "Hey, get me out!" yelled Pinocchio, but the person who had thrown him in had just left the room, leaving only the cricket to hear Pinocchio's cries. The cricket ran back and forth, in and out of the birdcage, trying to find a way to unlock the lock, but he couldn't. "I'm stuck," exclaimed Pinocchio, wondering how this had happened to him. The nose expands. The blue fairy appeared out of nowhere. "Please," exclaimed Pinocchio, "can you assist me?" "First, tell me how you got inside that cage," the blue fairy said. "Tell her what happened," the cricket said. Could he really tell the blue fairy what had happened, and how would she react? I was robbed," Pinocchio admitted. With a frown, the blue fairy asked, "Is that right?" Pinocchio's nose began to grow. "Yes, robbed," Pinocchio exclaimed, "by two mean men, no, four." The nose expanded further. "They took my books, forced me to come here, and threw me into this cage." His nose grew longer and longer until Pinocchio could see nothing but one big giant nose in front of his face. "Why is my nose so big?" cried Pinocchio. "Pinocchio," exclaimed the blue fairy, "you must know what the truth truly is." "I suppose so," Pinocchio replied, "I wanted to come to the fair, and I came here with a fox and a cat." The nose became shorter. "I had to sell some of my books in order to get some tickets." "Had to?" the blue fairy asked. "I mean, I decided to sell my books in order to buy tickets," he explained. The nose grew even shorter. "Then they put me in this cage," he explained. The nose had returned to normal, and the cricket exclaimed, "Good job, Pinocchio." "Well done," the blue fairy said, "and now I'll get you out of here." Pinocchio was freed from the cage with a wave of her wand. "Here are your books," said Pinocchio, holding the same brand new school books in his hands. "Know this," the blue fairy said, "you are on your own from now on, make sure you do the right thing the next time," and then she was gone. The chauffeur. "Hey kid, how about a ride?" said the coachman as he drove Pinocchio back to school. "No, thank you," Pinocchio replied, "I have school." "You will ride faster with me," the coachman said to Pinocchio, thinking to himself, but not to where he thinks he is going. "All right," Pinocchio said, "I need to get to school right away." The coachman asked Pinocchio inside the coach, "Say kid, why do you think boys like you go to school?" "To learn things," Pinocchio explained, "and to grow up, I guess, so we can do whatever we want." "Well, what if I told you that you could do whatever you wanted right now?" said the coachman. "How about right now?" "Yes, think about it. Skip the books, skip school, and have all the candy you want right now." "What about all the candy?" "Yep, ice cream in every flavor. Ever want to smoke a cigar or play pool? All of this and more is available at Pleasure Island." "Is it Pleasure Island?" "The best place on the planet for boys like you." "Don't listen to him, Pinocchio," exclaimed Cricket. "Why wait?" said the coachman, "I know exactly where Pleasure Island is, today is your lucky day, kid, so what do you say?" "Let's go there," Pinocchio exclaimed, "I'm going to Pleasure Island." "Ah!" exclaimed the cricket as he waved his arms in the air. "Island of Pleasure. You got a boy with you in that coach?" asked a dark stranger to the coachman after a while. "Yep," the coachman said, grabbing Pinocchio and hurling him to the ground. "He's all yours. Now pay up." The coachman reached out to the dark stranger for something, perhaps money, and then drove away. What could it all mean? Pinocchio didn't care as he looked around. For everything the coachman had told him was true. There was tons of candy everywhere. tubs of ice cream in every flavor. Boys like him could eat and play all day without having to work or clean up. There were even cigars and pool tables to play on. But after a few days, he noticed something strange. Where did all the boys go? He inquired of Cricket. All I see now are donkeys, Pinocchio said. I must say, there used to be a lot more boys around here, Cricket remarked. Just then, one of his ears turned into a donkey ear, and his other ear turned into a donkey ear as well. Oh, exclaimed the Cricket, what is wrong with you? I'm not sure, Pinocchio replied. Oh, no, exclaimed the Cricket as he saw a line of donkeys being led onto a truck by a dark stranger. Now I get it. Boys are turned into donkeys here, and the donkeys are sold. Pinocchio, we have to get you out of here fast, while we still can. Let's go, exclaimed Pinocchio, his 2 feet having expanded to 4. Run, quick, exclaimed Cricket. One advantage of Pinocchio's new 4 legs was that he could run very fast. Quick, quick, they ran out of Pleasure Island and were soon at a dock by the sea. Please sir, Pinocchio said to a man on the dock, I am looking for an old man named Geppetto, do you know him? Sounds like you're getting a bad cold, the man said. Geppetto. That's the old man whose son left one morning and never returned. He went out on a boat to look for him, but no one has seen him since. Oh no! This is all my fault, exclaimed Pinocchio, I must look for my father. Pinocchio jumped off the dock into the ocean, followed by the Cricket. The whale's name. The majority of Pinocchio was still made of wood, allowing him to float on the ocean. Father! He called out, paddling the water with his arms. Pinocchio could only see blue water all around him, until he noticed something far away rushing up. Something big and very fast. A giant whale swooped down on them in an instant, opening its massive jaws, and swallowing Pinocchio with one gulp. Pinocchio and the Cricket tumbled inside, only to find themselves in the dark belly of the whale. Are you all right? Pinocchio asked the Cricket. I'm fine, said an elderly man's voice. Wait a minute, Pinocchio said, is that you, father? Geppetto was there. Father, father, exclaimed Pinocchio. I thought I was dreaming, my son, exclaimed Geppetto. They rejoiced and hugged. There goes our dinner, exclaimed Geppetto as 3 fish swam by. Father, I've got an idea. Let's start a fire. Geppetto exclaimed, grilled fish tonight. No, I mean for us to get out, said Pinocchio as he gathered driftwood and lit a fire. This is how we can make the whale sneeze, he said as he waved his arms over the flame, creating clouds of black smoke. Hang on, said Pinocchio, and then... Wham! Pinocchio, Geppetto, and the Cricket flew out of the whale's mouth in one big sneeze, rolling over and over in the sea water until they finally rolled up onto the shore. Pinocchio. Geppetto stood up, the Cricket beside him, but where was Pinocchio? Pinocchio was face down in a puddle when they discovered him. Pinocchio. Geppetto and the Cricket wept over Pinocchio, the boy puppet, who lay motionless in the water. Then, in an instant, who else but the Blue Fairy appeared. Pinocchio, she said, tapping his head with her wand. You saved your father, you demonstrated that you are both brave and true. Pinocchio awoke, looking at his soft arms and legs. Father, he exclaimed, look! I am a real boy. You are, exclaimed Geppetto. Come, the Blue Fairy said to the Cricket, and the 2 of them were gone in an instant. They spent many happy and long years together. Thank you for listening my story, I hope you like it. Please show your support by click like and subscribe to this channel. And when you want another story to read, please comment below. See you on the next story.